No, but I have questions. Yes. Yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this October 15th, 2024 regular council meeting. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for a pledge of allegiance. Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to serve our community. We continue to ask for your guidance and your compassion. We pray you continue to protect our community, our first responders, and our employees. We also pray, Lord, you watch over our nation and those who protect us all over the world. In your name we pray, amen.
United States of America.
Yes, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next is the verbal roll call of council members present for the record.
Councilmember Beck.
Present.
Councilmember Cooper.
Present.
Councilmember Joy.
Present.
Councilmember Perkins.
Present.
Councilmember Sexton.
Present.
Vice Mayor Atkins.
Present.
Mayor Nichols.
Present. Next, the approval of meeting minutes from October 1st, 2024, regular meeting. Are there any corrections or changes to these minutes?
There, if you don't mind. There was a couple of things that was said at the last meeting, that showed up again in the minutes, and Mr. Back mentioned that I have been spewing lies on Facebook, and I would just like to know what those are. And I would like to, for those to be presented to me. The law director stated that I was laughed out of the Dayton Bar Association for filing a grievance against him. That in and of itself is a laughable matter to me. As a matter of fact, I feel that it's that it's a lie. Excuse me, and if they did say it, and I will be asking them whether they did say it. Because he said that they laughed me out of their office and, I've never been to their office. So either they lied to him or he lied to us. And I will be reaching out to the Dayton Bar Association to find that out. And ironically, it's kind of odd because when you file a grievance against an attorney, it states that it should be kept confidential. And only then to have the attorney in question bring up the grievance in a public meeting, making that a public record to anyone that wants to request it. In addition, when I read portions of the charter and explained the violations, it can't be said that my statements hold no legal merit, because that in fact constitutes legal merit when I actually read it from the charter. And since the person who wrote the minutes seems to think that my comment about Rule 1.7 was about the charter, I feel that I can read that if it's necessary. I don't think that it's necessary, but Rule 1.7 comes out of the professional rules of conduct for an attorney, and it stipulates a conflict of interest between current clients. And that basically states that unless we have given informed consent in writing, that if there is a conflict of interest between the clients, that attorney needs to step down. And I can present this to, for the minutes, if anybody would like to see that. And Mr. Nickerson, you also mentioned a while back that we would have decorum and be professional in these meetings. And I'm wondering when you're gonna start holding people accountable to this. I'm wondering when you're gonna hold yourself accountable to that.
Okay, can I interrupt real quick? I'm sorry. Are these corrections that need to be added or added to the minutes, or are we gonna do this under old business?
That's up to you.
Okay, well, this portion of it, we're asking for any corrections or changes to the meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or changes to the meeting minutes or not?
Other than what I've been bringing up now.
Okay, so those are corrections. Do you want to add those to the meeting minutes or remove them from the meeting minutes?
No, I just want to make it known that.
Okay, well, that would be under old business, because that's what we talked about last meeting.
All right.
Okay? Anybody else? Nobody else? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the October 1st, 2024 regular meeting minutes?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
5-2 motion passes.
Okay, next on the agenda is unfinished business. Mr. Joel, go ahead and continue with what you were saying under old business
Okay.
or unfinished business.
So you had mentioned that we would be having decorum and we would be acting professional in the meetings. And that has not been happening. And you had stated in the minutes that if there are violations, then you want them brought to you. And I have listed several violations over the past months. And most recently over the last several meetings, and you have said and done nothing. You mentioned fake emails, encrypted Proton emails, and I'm kind of curious what makes a fake email? And what's the difference between a Proton account 1234556 at Proton or 1234556 at Gmail? The only thing that I can think of is that the Proton mail is encrypted and it can't be traced.
Okay, is that it? All right, sir, thank you. Anybody else have unfinished business?
Is that pertaining to last meeting?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, unfinished business, yes.
So, I brought up last meeting, well, first can I follow up on what you said?
Sure.
As for the request of stuff, that you asked for what you put on Facebook, I'm gonna have to go back and go through screenshots and stuff, but I will make sure that you get that as soon as I possibly can. Okay. As for me referring to, I believe it was 802 of the, charter, which would be personal interest. I guess I could elaborate. So my question would be this, and this isn't an accusation, this is a question. During the time that your daughter was employed here as a village employee being paid, did you vote on the budget?
I did.
Would that not be a personal interest because your daughter's pay is involved in that budget?
Yes.
Should you?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so I didn't set the budget. I did not, I do not set raises. I do not specify what lieutenant workman or any of the service department makes. The same would be true for any of the other employees. I do not set that. That's not my place. A budget was presented and I voted yes or no. I can't just say, oh, no, you can't. You have to take that portion out.
So you don't feel that you should have sustained from that, knowing that your daughter's pay base was involved in that? Whether you said it or
I
not,
held no direct or indirect financial,
This is indirect.
there's nothing.
so wouldn't it be indirect, as somebody stated, due to the fact that it's still a personal interest because it's your daughter and you're approving the funds for her to be paid with? That's all I'm asking. Now, whether it be conflict ethics and stuff like that, I would, if something has been disclosed to you by the state saying that the state says that it was okay, I would like to see that from the state. That's all I'm saying. But I also feel that following that, and since the events of early in February and the removal of people, however you want to put it, and your daughter no longer being here, I feel like that has put you in a stance to be very aggravated with new council. I feel like that is a reason why on a lot of things you voted no. And I feel like that is a conflict for you at this moment. And honestly, my personal opinion is you should step down, based on that. But I'm just following up. So, you know, I still think that's voting on a budget that includes a family member's pay is a huge personal interest. Maybe the state will decide that, and if you have paperwork from the state, I would love to see it. Other than that, that's all I have for unfinished business.
May I reply?
Real quickly, please.
Okay. So I have stated several times that I didn't actually want my daughter working here to begin with. So I don't believe that it was fair to her to terminate her without cause, because she had done nothing wrong. That was a conflict right there. That was done to intimidate, and I'm not sure exactly why it was done. But the fact is, she is much better off where she's at, and I'm actually glad that she doesn't work here any longer.
Okay, Mr. Back.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Anybody else? Nobody else? Okay, new business. Ordinance 2024-04. An ordinance certifying the municipality of New Lebanon distribution year 2025 and tax year 2024 street light assessment to Montgomery County, Ohio, in the amount of $60,000. This is the first reading of this ordinance. We will schedule a second reading for November 5th, 2024, regular council meeting. Do you have anything you want to say about that?
Just that this is an annual assessment that we do for our streetlight costs. After the third reading, we will submit this to Montgomery County, and then we'll make sure the assessments continue to be placed on the bills like they have.
Okay, anybody have any questions about that?
Do you know what it was last year?
I believe it was the same amount.
Same amount?
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything about that resolution? Okay. So we'll do the second reading November 5th, okay, 2024. The second resolution, 2024-21, A resolution approving an employment contract with Peter Sexton for the village manager position. Does anyone on the council have any comments to this resolution?
I actually do before we
Yep.
get council comment.
Okay,
As I mentioned in your packets, I wanted to make sure that you all had a copy of this contract before tonight. So I sent out a draft contract with your packets on Friday. And then I stated in your memo that we'd likely have some changes that would be here tonight. So I've included those at your station. They are highlighted in yellow. None of them really have to do with anything monetary. It's just more the term of the contract. And then some clarification on removal under certain circumstances, just some things that were negotiated after the contract had already been sent to you. The things in the back, we noticed that there was the sections were numbered non-consecutively, so had to make some changes. That's why those in the back are all highlighted. But I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them at this time.
does anybody have any questions or comments about this contract to the village manager?
Can you tell me why it was originally posted at 85,000 and it's now at 105?
That's the going rate for a village manager. I think 105 is less than the previous manager was making all in, so it was well above 85 during the last contract, so wanted to make sure that we were in the ballpark, that it was a fair wage, given the knowledge, skill, and ability of Mr. Sexton, and I felt like it was appropriate.
Anybody else have any, Mr. Perkins?
When do we get to read the rest of this?
It's all in there.
Yeah,
That's every bit of it.
yeah, but I, you know, the highlight, I ain't running the highlight parts.
That's why I highlighted it, so you can look them over.
Huh?
You're welcome to look them over now. I will give you some time if you want to read them.
Everybody got different.
Correct. You know, maybe I'm glad
I got some readers.
No. I can't, you know, I can't about that. I can't see them, but no care.
I don't know how to make it any bigger for you. I'm sorry, I don't have a magnifying glass.
I said, well, let's don't vote on it tonight, but we'll have next meeting, so we're gonna have to I'll read the whole thing.
Read it out loud.
Read it
Yeah,
out loud.
I can tell you what the changes are. We're gonna
I'll read it out loud.
Section 1 term went from 3 years to 4 years. So the employment contract goes through October 31st of 2028. Section 7, there was a misspelling of international, so we just changed the word from international to international. Section 8 termination, we took out the words with or without. So essentially termination is for cause only. Remove some part of section 9 under severance because it's no longer applied. Under section 10 removal, there are some very specific for cause determinations that need to be had before Mr. Sexton can be terminated. Under section, so section 16, 17, or 17, 18 are just.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Just to clarify for the records. Will you go back to section 9 and actually read the section that was edited? And then what was, and then go over the part that was highlighted by stating this is highlighted, this was what's removed, that way it's on the record.
yeah, so this was the section 9A read, if the employee is terminated for cause, the employer shall provide a minimum severance payment and a lump sum cash payment in the amount equal to 6 months of service. If the employee is, this part was removed. If the employee is terminated without cause, the employer shall provide severance payment equal to 1 year at employee's then current rate of pay. This severance shall be paid in a lump sum unless otherwise agreed to by the employer and the employee. We removed that section. Everything else is the same.
Thank you, appreciate that. That way there's transparency on what's being with the public and the record.
On section 10, it now reads village council may only terminate an employee upon 2/3 vote of village council. Members for cause events only. All village council members for cause events only, sorry. For purposes of this section 10, for cause events include and are limited to the following. An illegal act involving personal gain for employee. Insubordination or willful refusal to follow policies or lawful directives issued by village council. Insubordination or willful refusal to follow the village charter, ordinances, or resolutions. This part was removed. Employee is removed for cause. This agreement will automatically terminate and village council shall pay to employee severance pay in a lump sum cash payment amount of six months. It now says employee is convicted of crime involving moral turpitude. Willful neglect of employee duties. Did read, it had to do more about the termination. In event employees are removed by council for any reason not related to performance of duties. F, dishonesty in office. G, breach of confidentiality of sensitive village business is the final reason for removal. The rest of it is just numbering, and we had no section 16, we skipped it. So we renumbered the section to include 16 and everything after that.
Yeah, that's a number. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else have anything with the exception of Melissa, we're gonna keep you out of this.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other questions about that?
Yes, we will, if approved as submitted, we will update this document and we'll get it signed.
All right. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
If this is approved, when does it go in force?
So we're negotiating the start date.
Okay.
His effective date will be the day he starts, so we're looking at the first part of December, doesn't start it.
Any more questions? Okay, at this time, we have a motion to approve resolution 2024-21.
So moved.
Second,
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Back,
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins,
No.
Councilmember Joy,
No.
Vice Mayor Atkins,
yes.
Mayor Nickerson,
Yes.
Councilmember Sexton.
Stay.
She needs to say. Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 4, 2, and 1 abstention. Motion passes.
Okay.
4-2 with one abstention.
Okay, public comment and questions. I will call your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak and be heard. Once your time is up, you'll be thanked, but no additional time will be given, and no donation of time by others to others is allowed. We will not be stopping your time, but may, if necessary, address your comments after you finish speaking. First person this evening is Tammy Locke, 212 Brownwood, please.
Thank you. I wasn't really prepared, but I did have just a couple questions that I would like to ask. So BCI has been,
Tammy, can you move the mic down?
Yeah.
Thank you.
BCI has been asked several times. I know it was brought up last meeting. Is there a reason that we don't want to bring in BCI? I know we've lost 2 more officers, one that was dedicated 18.5 years. And I'd like to know what you're doing in regards to our village, how to protect it.
Sure. So BCI has been asked to come in, that is in the purview of the special counsel. I know that Acting Chief Foreman has met with a representative of BCI on another matter, so they're aware of our desire to have them come in. We have 2 officers that are in process to be hired from another jurisdiction. We're just waiting on their physicals. We can get them started. So we are actively recruiting. I can't speak to why people are leaving. I will say, just given the environment, anybody that has a badge can go anywhere they want because there's a lot of opportunity and not a lot of folks that do that job. It is a difficult job, as you know. So there's a lot of demand for officers and they can make more money in other locations. They choose to go there. I can't stop them from doing that. You know, it doesn't help that there's constant tension on the dais. Accusations flying back and forth certainly doesn't help. But with that being said, they're not part of that, right? They shouldn't be. If they choose to get involved in it, then it affects them. And we've had that happen. But if they stay below the fray, do their job as they should, nothing will happen to them. And we've got several officers that come to work every day, do their job, do an excellent job, and go home.
understand now. The other thing is just because there's litigation on the current, position you're holding, how will that affect Mr. Sexton's contract?
So I'm not an attorney, so I don't, this is my opinion only, and it's not based in, again, I don't have a law degree, so I don't know the facts. Maybe Nate can fill in where I lack. The current action is at the Second District Court of Appeals. Should the applicant or should Ms. Madden prevail, I don't know what would happen, but I do know that based on the Second Court of Appeals decision, she no longer has a contract. So my guess is, you'd have one manager that's here with a contract and one manager that isn't. And the manager that isn't, would probably get terminated again, I'm guessing. Can't speak for this council, but my guess is that's what would happen. So, I don't know that it's a big deal, but it might be a law.
I mean, I'll just speak. I mean, I tend to agree with everything that Rob said. I mean, obviously, with regard to the litigation itself, you just have to let it pan out. I'm not gonna speak on my personal knowledge of where the litigation is at. But I could say with pretty high certainty that, regardless of what happens in that case, she will not be village manager.
I was just curious since I noticed you changed some of the things in the contract in regards, that's why I was asking.
Well, there's a lot of things we changed with regard to the contract. I mean, generally speaking, I've done multiple village manager contracts or municipal manager contracts. Quite frankly, hers was unconscionable. As you'll notice in this contract, at most, he will get severance pay of 12 months. You can look at any contract within Miami Valley. It ranged between 6 and on the very high end 18 months. For her termination, she would be entitled to, if she was fired the day after she was appointed as village manager, she would have gotten paid 8 years pay, no matter what, along with all her OPERS benefits and everything else. So, you know, you talk about the higher pay of 105,000 versus 90,000, but you talk about all the clauses in conjunction with each other. This is in line with what the Miami Valley and generally village and city managers are. Obviously, you go to the larger municipalities, their pay is higher, but it is in that ballpark, in that range.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Tammy Joy, 35 Coleman Court.
Tammy Joy, 35 Coleman Court. At the April 2nd meeting, I talked about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a pastor in Germany who encouraged the people of Germany to speak out against the Third Reich. I also gave definitions of bullying and narcissism because many times I have been heckled by members of the audience. What I read on April 2nd was a call to members of the community of New Lebanon to stand up and speak out against tyranny. During several meetings, it has been stated by Mayor Nickerson that he has been called many names, one of which is Nazi. Nowhere in my statements to the council did I ever use that word. Mr. Back stated last meeting that Mr. Joy's family member used that word, when in fact, no one in my family has ever used that word here. Anyone can verify what I said by watching the recording from that or any other council meeting. Mr. Nickerson and Mr. Back, I'm fed up with you slandering me. Here's a copy of what I read on April 2nd, and I would like it to be entered into the minutes verbatim. The behavior of several council members last meeting on October 1st was appalling. To me, it is not acceptable for council members to check their phone during a meeting and literally stop the meeting to make accusations against the people sitting in the public forum and notify everyone of the text just received by reading the vulgar language. When the mayor and vice mayor informed the public that if they don't like what's happening in the village, and I quote, they can leave. That is not appropriate behavior during a public forum. Mr. Perkins, Mr. Joy, and Ms. Locke were all called out of order many times and were not allowed to ask questions since the February 20th meeting. At that meeting, council members were allowed to ask one question. Then a time limit was imposed on how long each council member can speak. Not allowing an elected official to speak or ask questions is a violation of my civil rights, as well as every member of this community. The public requires and is entitled to answers. As for Mr. Joy stating things on Facebook, the people who are unable or don't want to come to meetings have made statements or specifically asked a question and he answered them. I also asked on February 20th where the money was coming from to pay for the investigation, and Mr. Nickerson's answer was that he didn't know. That is a violation of our charter as well as the ORC. We later learned that the money was taken from the community center fund. And in my opinion, New Lebanon really needs a community center. I specifically asked each of you in a meeting if you have read the charter. Mr. Back asked for charter violations and was given them at the last meeting and still continues to disregard and ignore our charter. Mr. Back stated to Mr. Joy that he was taking off the proverbial gloves and getting into a boxing match. The first time you said that, but the second time you did not say proverbial, and that is a threat. This is inappropriate verbiage and the behavior for a council member to say to anyone at any council meeting. At the February 20th meeting, Glenna Madden and Gail Joy tried to inform everyone on the council that things were not being done correctly, and both were called out of order by Mr. McNamee, who was in the audience. That is a violation of the charter and Robert's Rules of Order. Members of the audience cannot be directed or be directing the council, nor can Mr. Nickerson hire a special investigator or legal counsel for the village without including all council members. There have been numerous violations of the charter in the RC. Mr. Back has stated that he and several other members of council are being sued. Maybe you should have heeded my warning and read the chart. Ignorance is bliss, except in a court of law. And here is this is exactly what I stated and said on that day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joy. Next is Tasha Farley, 136 Broadway.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot. I wanted to start with you, Gail. Because I fully agree with everything that Tim had to say. You having a vote on a budget that included your daughter's pay is absolutely an indirect conflict of interest. As well as you voting on her direct boss's renewal of her contract, which was done out of the contract window 3 months ahead of time when it wasn't even supposed to be negotiated until January the 2nd of this year. It is absolutely an indirect conflict of interest. Ohio is an at-will state. Employers and employees both reserve the right to terminate their employment with whoever, whenever, or whatever. So that doesn't matter. The at-will thing just out the window. And I really wish that you would let go and move on and move forward and actually do things that help this village move forward for the better instead of staying behind stuck in the past. It's really not a good look. Moving on. There is some kind of electric pole behind Mary's drive-thru. It looks like somebody pulled out of the drive-thru and hit it, and it is very severely cracked at the bottom and leaning over a lot. I don't know if anybody's noticed it or mentioned it. I meant to say it last meeting, but I forgot. I also wanted to ask, I don't know what kind of budget we have in our Parks and Rec budget. I was gonna do some phone calls and see if I could find around a farm that would be willing to donate some pumpkins for kids for the Brew Fest. If I can't, if I could maybe at least get a discounted rate, I was wondering if that would be something that maybe the village would be able to contribute to the Boo Fest so that the kids can come and pick a pumpkin, something to take home with them. And then last, I wish JC was here because I was gonna ask him as well, but I know our officer resources are short. I was wondering if there was any way that we could maybe have an officer or two bring a cruiser up for the trunk or treat for the Boo Fest and maybe hand out some candy to some kids. Maybe, I know Gretchen's done the Brookville one before, maybe her and like maybe one of our part-time officers. I was gonna ask JC as well. I guess I'll reach out to him and send him a message because I thought maybe a fire truck up there too, handing out candy would be just something really nice and kind of help community relationships with our first responders. Other than that, I think that that's all I had. I also just wanted to say in regards to the last thing that was said up here is, I really think that, and this goes for everyone, for council, for all the citizens that attend these meetings, I really think that there needs to be a lot more respect in this room. People have turned this into like some kind of high school petty fight debate thing where people come up to this microphone and they want to talk trash to everybody via this microphone. You guys even do, you're guilty of it up there at the dais. And I just think people really need to stop that. It's holding us back and we really need to move forward. Everybody needs to let go of the past, of the things that have happened, and we just need to move forward. That's all I have.
Okay, thank
I
you.
mean, I'll answer, Natasha, I'll answer your question about budget.
Oh, yes.
So depending on what it costs, we do have some money in our parks budget still, so if you
Okay.
can,
I will do some research
And
and
just
I'll
let me
look
know.
into it and yes, I'll let you know.
okay,
Thank you. Josh Farley, 136 Brown. You're good? Okay, sir. Ashley Holloway and Brittany Talley, do you guys want to come up together or?
Yes.
Okay, come on up.
Sounds good. Hi, I'm Ashley.
Hi, Brittany. We guys sit around this.
we have it here.
Okay, good. We are here on behalf of the Boo Fest. So unfortunately, Chamber had canceled, but I had a lot of people reach out to me wanting it to continue. So we're gonna make it happen, hopefully. I reached out to Rob about the permit and what I would need to do. I got the permit from you, but do you still need anything like things that we need from the village, like the cornhole boards, and do I need to write another paper like that?
If you could just email that to me, it'd be helpful, just something so I have it in writing, so I don't forget it or I can refer back to it.
Okay, because I have the permit today, I just wanted to make sure I had everything filled out right, since we're getting so close to the date.
Yeah.
Can we waive the permit fee since it's a, we're not, I mean, it's a free event for the community.
So that's a timely question. I don't think I can waive it, but you might be able to get the council here to waive it for you. While we're here, maybe after, once you're done, they can, maybe I think they just take a motion, right, to waive it? Yeah. Yeah, so that's a good question.
And then, just so it's clear, the only money that will be collected though is the money for the cornhole tournament that's getting put back to the winners.
Sure.
And then, so I guess when we give you the email for the permit, we'll just put the setup time or the setup date and everything in that, and then we don't need to discuss anything else.
No, and I think I've talked to Daryl about it, I think I've talked to Bill also. With as short staffed as we are, the more you guys can do, the better. I think if, like, for trash, things like that, if you can maintain that, we'll give you some bags. We can come back then after it's done, maybe on Monday, and do some cleanup in the park, but
Okay,
the
what
less,
about
the
the
less intensive
bathrooms?
stuff that you do. We can open the bathrooms and make sure those are open and available.
Okay, and then the road with them parking across the street to get over, should we do our own signs and our own cones? Or
We
how
can-
will that be?
I don't want to speak for Daryl, I assume we have some cones we can probably let you borrow.
We can get something done, so it's safer for people walking across the road.
Well, is that gonna be an issue, chief, with traffic and the safety of people crossing the street there, or?
If they have proper cones and barricades and stuff, usually it regulates itself.
Okay,
Because we probably won't have resources to put an officer up there, but if there's cones and barricades and signage and stuff like that, that probably should suffice.
okay.
Okay, and what about the blinking sign? Are we allowed to use that?
Yeah, well,
Is it notified?
I think
Yes.
there's an issue with it now, I think there's something with it.
Yeah,
that's
it's-
broken.
We have an extension cord ran to it, but the other day we were trying to put messages on it and it died. I know we've replaced batteries on it in the past. It's older, and there's some stuff that needs fixed on it. So we can pull it up there and try to get it to work. The solar panels aren't charging it the way that it should. So we can try. I'm just not sure how long it'll actually last, especially if it's overcast and stuff like that.
Okay,
I think word of mouth would be great to get it out on the New Lebanon page, let us know,
I've
we'll
been putting
pass it
it all
out
over
there.
New Lebanon page,
Right.
my page, we
Yeah.
have my sign up.
Post it up at the store, the library, wherever.
Oh,
There-
we can put something on the window
here.
too for everybody
Yeah.
that comes in and see it if you have something to put up there.
that would be great.
Yeah.
And then, we were interested in having a fire over on the corner.
So the burn ban has been lifted through the state, so you can burn. I did talk to JC about that today. He, obviously with his staffing, he doesn't have anybody that can watch it full time, but if you have somebody that can just stay with it,
Okay,
make sure nothing happens, and then put it out before you leave, that would be, I assume it's gonna be like one of those portable fire
It's a
pits.
Yeah.
portable fire, yeah.
So as long as you, just take it with you when you go it should be okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So, we would love for all the council members to come be a part of it. We're trying to, well, it's gonna be a free event for all the kids. We've got a couple events, we're gonna have vendors, food trucks, they're all told to get permits. I think the majority of them already have one through you
Yeah.
guys, so it lasts a year. We are also trying to work out a hide and seek for the older kids, because that's a complaint I hear a lot. A lot of the events are towards the younger ones. So from 6 to 8, we are looking at finding some adult seekers to kind of like seek out middle school, high school age kids in the park. They're gonna have the ideas glow in the dark wristbands and stuff. And the seekers have flashlights. Do you need like a layout of anything for that?
It would be better if we did, that way at least PD is aware there'll be people in the park after dark. It just helps when we get phone calls, people call.
Yeah,
The more
because
information there.
St. Purdue's trail is going to be after dark too.
Okay.
We were hoping to extend it to about 10 to give it a break for the hide and seek, and then him have a haunted trail. So during the day, it's gonna be kid friendly, night more towards the older adults.
I think that should be fine. As long as these guys are aware, but I think it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? When are you planning on having that event?
Oh, I'm sorry, October 26th.
Okay.
The setup though will be October 25th that evening. We also was gonna ask about the cornhole boards that the village has. We can use them, just the little things that'll probably just be in the permit packet that they'll email you.
And what's the time frame? 6 to 10, 6 to 10.
We're doing
12 to 10.
12 to 10 all, yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna try to have another meeting next week, so if it wants to come and get more information on it, you're more than welcome.
Well, and let me just throw this out here to you guys. If the weather is inclement like it was tonight, a little chilly, if you want to use it here, call us. And I'll come up and open the doors and make sure you guys have accessibility to come in and use it here.
Thank you.
That'll be great.
That'll help you.
If we can just go ahead and arrange that, then
If you want to do that, you tell me what time,
That would
what
be
day
great.
you want to do it. You can reach out, send an email or whatever, and Rob will get a hold of me and I'll take care of that personally. I'll make sure we come up and open the building up for you for whatever time you need.
great. Thank you very much.
Real quick,
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I just wanna say I appreciate you guys stepping up and taking over. I know that Chamber of Commerce eventually said the village was gonna do something or talked about it, and they said they would take it over, and then they backed out, and then you stepped up and took it on. So anybody that wants to volunteer and help, I'm sure she would appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been very stressful.
Well, if we can do a day at the park, we can sure do that,
Yes,
you know?
that's it.
Okay, thank you guys
Do you
very
want
much.
us now or do we wait?
You can, if you want to leave it on the table next to Bill, I'll just grab it when we're done.
And I'll just email you with what we need.
That'd be fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you guys, appreciate it. Shannon Beavis, 130 Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, Shannon. before I start.
Very good. We probably need a motion if we want to waive the permit fee for that.
Do we want to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just do it.
So Tim made a motion.
Okay. You want to do a roll call?
Have a second?
I'll second.
Do a voice vote. Just do a voice vote.
Okay, we'll just do a voice then. All in favor of waiving the fees? Say aye. All opposed? There you go, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, Shannon, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I was at the last meeting, I just wanted to follow up on a couple of things that were stated. It was stated by a council member that, the hiring process for the municipal manager was not done but by the charter. And, I don't know. This is normal, this is exactly, you guys are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Previous municipal managers, what they've done is they will literally go through the applications, they'll weed out who they want. And, I know, for example, George Marcus, he forwarded council 4 resumes. He said, this is who I recommend you hiring, and you all voted yes. anything above and beyond does not mean it's against the charter. So by Mr. Anderson saying, hey, I like a couple council members in on the first round of interviews, and sending out whatever you were sending out, and then holding an open forum for the community and council with interviews is above and beyond. Doesn't mean it's against the charter. Everything was done by the charter. It's literally a recommendation, council votes. So that, when I heard that, it just kind of frustrated me because things are getting done properly. And also, as far as a committee or needing to notify media and some other things that were said, I think the purpose, and I'm speculating, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the purpose of having the mayor with a couple council members is because that, at that point, then you keep it below, where it's not a quorum, where you're not able to conduct business. And it really, there was nothing, it wasn't a meeting, it's not business. So 100% legal by the book, by the charter. And I actually appreciate this way, having a little bit more transparency and having a little bit more in-depth diving versus somebody sending me 4 resumes and saying, I want this, this is who I recommend, and everybody voting yes. Let me see. Okay. Lyndon, you confused me at the 9/17 minute, meeting. You voted yes on the meeting minutes. And then on 10/1, you voted no. Nothing, there was no difference. So I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, I understand Mr. Joy is just kind of on his path, but I didn't understand that one. Rumbling in the fire department, I have not heard any of that. So Mr. Joy, if you have any rumbling in the fire department that you're hearing of, I would encourage you to talk to maybe sworn manager or the fire chief. Let me see. There's so much to talk about, but I'm getting all mixed up with everything that's being said. Just a correction, because everybody keeps wanting to say that Miss Madden was paid $99,000 a year. That is not accurate at all. Her last W-2 was over $115,000. That's comp time, car allowance, this and that. I did read Mr. Sexton Pete's contract. I appreciate that you were not paying him a car allowance. I appreciate that you are making him contribute for his own purse, because if you remember correctly, the previous contract, and I know that it's standard in some municipalities, but we're a small municipality that can't afford certain things. And that's what we need to start realizing is, and I'll finish on my agenda. I just want to finish the sentence. But that's the thing with this small municipality is that we can't afford all these perks and benefits that we were giving somebody in their contract. So instead of her paying for her own PERS, she was getting paid back for her retirement. So I just want to make it clear that Mr. Sexton is paying for his own retirement, just like each and every one of us does. So I do appreciate the things or the perks that you removed from Mr. Sexton as a taxpayer, and I'll come back and finish.
All right, thanks, Jen. All righty, next, administrative staff comments. Chief, we'll start off with you, sir.
All right, I'm gonna start with something positive. It's an award. It's for Detective Weir. On September 24th, 2024, Detective Weir was dispatched to an infant who was choking. She was the first emergency responder on scene. She met the mother out in the parking lot in the pouring rain with the infant. She immediately took over life-saving care. She was able to clear the obstruction and get the infant awake and breathing. And she was able to keep everybody calm while they waited on the fire department to show up. If she had not performed those actions in a timely manner, the outcome would have been drastically different. So for that, we're going to award her the life-saving award.
Great.
Okay, next thing I have, update on cruisers. We finally got car 15 back. Last time we talked about it, it had been at the dealership for about 2 months. We finally got it back. We had it for about a week and car 16 started showing the same problems. So we just had car 16 towed last week to the dealership. They've done an initial assessment on it, and they said that it's presenting the same issues as car 15 was. They're currently behind on work, so we're waiting on their mechanic that specializes in that to actually tear into it and evaluate it. So I'm anticipating that that's probably gonna be down for another probably 2 or 3 months. We're still working on getting quotes for the upfit of the new cruiser. So once that happens, I'll work with Rob on getting that approved and getting that started. The next thing is staffing. So as you've heard, we've had two officers now, have turned in their 2 weeks. Detective Weir's last day is October 22nd. And Officer Gingrey turned his two weeks in on Monday. And he has used vacation time. So his last work day was Monday. So that takes us down to 4 full-time officers now. We have 4 full-time officers and 5 part-time officers. On top of that, I'm planning on, my wife's pregnant. So she's due October 24th. So if we make it to that date, starting October 24th, we'll be down to 3 full-time officers. We're switching up our schedule to 12-hour shifts to help provide coverage. But with 3 full-timers, we will not be able to provide 24-hour service. I'm currently talking with county right now to get the open shifts covered. They're having overtime issues also. So I'm waiting to hear back from them on exactly what that's going to look like. Generally, how they've done it in the past is county will respond to all priority 4s and aboves. That's generally your in-progress crimes. Anything that is a lower priority, they'll generally hold until one of our officers come back on duty. At that point in time, dispatch will dispatch them to take it. So it's depending on how things go, it's likely that some calls will pen for several hours. If county's not available and they're waiting on one of our officers to come on duty. That should last about 4 weeks while I'm off. Once I come back, we'll go back up to full staffing. Well, not full staffing. We'll go back up to 4 full-timers. Now that accounts for nobody taking any time off, nobody being sick, nobody being injured, no vacations, anything like that. As Rob said, we do have 2 people that are currently in the hiring process. The issue is going to be that currently I'm the only training officer. All of the other training officers have left. We're looking at sending 2 people to training. But that's going to, once again, with us being short-staffed, that's going to take officers off the road. And I'm not sure when that training is going to happen. We're trying to get it in as soon as possible. The officers that we currently have are experienced, so they can do the training. They just don't have the FTO class yet. So that's going to slow the training down while we get people certified in that. Once they come on, that'll obviously help augment our patrols. But we're still trying to hire. We're trying to bring people in. We're just having a hard time getting interest in and people to turn applications in.
We'll talk about our mutual aid.
So we have mutual aid. There's a county-wide. So we generally use Perry Township and Jackson Township, depending on which side of 35 it's on. They're the ones that generally respond. Since we're going down to one officer patrols, anything that's a higher priority will get a response from a neighboring agency, especially if somebody's down at the jail or something like that. So you'll see them in the village more helping us. And when we don't have an officer on, and if county's tied up, they'll often dispatch a closer mutual aid to go on scene first until county can get there.
What's the staffing? Do you know what's the staffing on Jackson Township and Perry Township? How many officers are on the road? You know,
they run one a shift also. I know Perry from time to time has overlap with 2, but I know Jackson always has 1 road car on, and Perry generally has one road car also.
How many part-time officers do we have?
We currently have 5.
5 part-time?
Mhm.
And then we're gonna be, are the other 2 gonna be part or whole?
Full.
So
Yeah, we're currently,
we're at 4, correct, full-time?
we're at 4 full-time right now. And then while I'm off, we'll be at 3. And then when I come back, we'll be up to 4.
So we're almost at 10 officers. Will be 11 officers.
Yeah, our authorized strength is 10 full-timers and 5 part-timers. So we'll be at 4 out of 10 full-timers, and then we'll be at 5 out of 5 part-timers.
Chief, would you mind, letting everybody know are you able to tell everybody what happened with the car theft problem that we've been having, that they caught a couple of them?
Yes, so the car thefts have been going on still. Brookville was just hit on Monday night. They eventually were able to stop two of the cars. Inglewood actually spike stripped one of them, and they caught 2 juveniles from that.
Okay.
The problem is that it's juvenile, so they take them and lock them up, and then they get right back out, and they're doing it all over again.
Right.
So, yeah, our night guys have been staying very active, but with how quick they are, it's hard to cover the whole village because they're in and out in a matter of minutes.
Okay. Anybody have anything for the police chief? Nothing? Service department,
Good to go.
good? Okay. Overheard Mr. Sand said that they found an American flag out on 35 Landon Street or something.
Going west.
Going west, from the banners. And I also found one myself. I have it at the back of my wife's car, so I'll get them to you.
Thank you.
So just let you know about
Appreciate it.
it. Does anybody have anything for Daryl? Law director, anything for? Village manager?
Couple things. If you recall, we went through utility aggregation less than a year ago. And went from allowed folks to opt into the utility aggregation program for Energy Harbor. We're still in the middle of that program, it's still going. However, we just were notified that Energy Harbor has been purchased by a company called Dynegy. And the residents will be getting a letter stipulating that fact. Now, the good news is they don't have to do a thing. Everything is still in place, all of the rebates and the prices are still good. I just don't, if you all get approached by somebody who says, hey, why did I get this letter? It's just to identify the fact that Energy Harbor was purchased by another company, but everything else is going to stay the same. So residents don't have to do anything.
You got the contact number, because I know a lot of people, including myself, it's never been opted into that.
Yeah, so I will send you the contact number and I'll also
Okay.
post on the website
Okay,
with the notification about Dynegy purchasing Energy Harbor. And anybody that wants it, they can file the office and we'll get that to them.
okay.
All the ladies up front have that information as well. I had updated you on that US 35 repairs that were being done. I mistakenly thought, my fault, I guess, I didn't pay attention on a Zoom meeting. It's not a full repaving of 35, but they're doing repairs of the areas that are damaged, and there's several of those. I think there's quite a bit of them. So the other pavement, I guess, is in good enough shape that they didn't repave everything, but they are repairing the spots that were damaged. So if I gave you the impression we're gonna ban you 35 all the way to close to the border, that's my fault.
I think they said that
No.
was a 30-year turnaround, it was gonna totally redo that.
Yeah, so
So it's out there to totally get repaved.
yeah,
It's been
they're
out there
coming
for-
through. They're coming through to make the repairs because there are some areas that
Yeah,
are.
they've actually already started.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize if I misled anybody on that. I sent you in your packet an email about the budget process. We're in the process of beginning to put together the 2025 budget. I would like to have a budget work session on November 19th before the regular meeting. However, depending on, we may need more time than that. More than just the hour and a half before the regular meeting to go over the budget. So I will be in contact with some alternative dates. Maybe we have either more than one meeting, or we have another meeting where we have more time to dedicate towards it. This is gonna be an informative and probably long budget process to present to you, so I want to make sure we have enough time to properly do that. And the last thing is, Montgomery County has a program called EDGE. It stands for Economic Development Government Equity. It's an economic development program that municipalities and villages and townships in the Montgomery County can compete for grants to help with economic development projects. That is a committee that's made up of 20+ people from all over the county, different jurisdictions, different villages. We were selected to have a representative to that committee this year. So Mayor Nickerson has volunteered to be on the EDGE committee this year. And we'll be sitting in on the projects that come forward on November 1st. What's exciting about that is, New Lebanon, if we were to get a project for, let's say, we had either, I'll take B&B here. Let's say they want to do a major expansion and hire a bunch more people. We would apply for an EDGE grant to help them do that, to offset some of that cost. Being on the committee, I think will be helpful because you can understand the process and be more aware of what's going on, what projects get funded. So that committee meets twice a year. There's typically over $2 million that's available every year through EDGE. They like to split it up about even between the two funding cycles, April 1 and November 1. So there's a little over $1 million, I think, this year in the November cycle for projects. We don't have one at this point. But if we did, I think New Lebanon would look really good at getting funded because we've not had any projects recently in the past and we're due. So if we have a project that comes up, we'll certainly apply and I think we'll get funded. Mayor, do you want to, that's all I had. If you want to add on to that?
No, I did attend an impromptu meeting last week with it. It's pretty positive for the community. We won't be able to start anything till probably April timeframe, but something to throw out there. It definitely will help this community. I've been selected for the committee, so I'm proud of that. I've been talking to the directors and the managers of them probably weekly on the phone here now. And I have tons of information they've sent me already, so anything that I can get, I will forward to the public and to the council that you can see what will happen with the community. So, okay.
That's all I have.
Anybody have anything for the village manager? Okay, next is council member comments.
I did one.
Oh, all right.
The walking path that, repaid in the back,
Yeah,
it's
so
been in the budget,
it's been in the
so,
budget. We won't have a chance to get to it this year, but that'll be one of the things we'll put in the budget for next year, just carry it forward. Have it done.
I think, Mr. Cooper, we'll start with you on your side. Councilmember comments, nothing?
Well, just to encourage everybody, November 5th is election day. And if you're registered to vote, vote. If you're not registered, I think it's still time to do it. I want to encourage everybody to vote.
Ms. Sexton?
I don't really, have a whole lot. I do want to maybe look into, having some sort of, paper, community paper, newspaper, that maybe we can start. I know there's one floating around. Whoever's writing it is anonymous. But, there are things that need to go in there, from the whole entire community, not speculation. It's not factual. It's not someone's opinion. So I think, we need to look into doing that, and no one knows where it's coming from. So if a local paper is put out in a community, I think we should know who's putting that out. So.
Mr. Perkins? Mr. Beck? No. Mr. Joy?
I have nothing.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
I have nothing.
Okay, I have nothing as well. I think the next is the agenda. Shannon Beers, please.
I'll make it quick, guys. Congratulations on your new baby to come. Thank you. Healthy and baby mama. So we have 4 full-time and 5 part-time right now. And then the 2 new ones, that will be the 6. So we have,
Well, yeah, once we get them trained.
Right.
It'll take us back to 6. With FTOs and stuff, that generally takes a few months.
okay. Can you look into it for me and find out? I know you're saying 10 full-time, 5 part-time, but I met with Glenna and Chief Hensley. The numbers, they have raised the staffing levels in anticipation of taking over Perry Township Police Department
The staffing levels were raised prior to that.
prior to that.
Correct. Yeah, prior to anything with Perry, the staffing levels were.
So when Ricky was here, will you look and see what, the standard staffing levels were at?
Yeah, I can look, because when I got hired in was after the levy, and we added 2 spots. And then we added 1 more spot on top of that in November of last year, I think.
Okay, so you think 10?
So we're at 9, and then as of November, something last year, we went to 10.
Okay, so you would be comfortable with 10 full-time, 5 part-time for New Lebanon?
Correct, yeah, and that's including the chief.
Okay,
Yeah, that's nine,
that's all
and
employees.
then chief,
Okay,
yep.
okay, that makes more sense then. Okay, and then you're saying that overtime for the sheriff's office to cover us overtime might be an issue. Is that because they're having staffing issues as well, along with a lot of other departments?
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're having overtime issues also.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
we're throwing overtime on top of it.
Right. It's going on with a lot of departments right now, not just New Lebanon.
Yeah, and we're just having issues getting people applying because of everything going on.
Yeah, all the other departments as well, I know. But these officers that have left on their own free will, they have not been terminated, correct? The ones that you just named, Weir, Gingrich, Gold.
Yes, so
Okay.
they've resigned for other full-time employment elsewhere.
Okay, great. All right, and then back to Ms. Madden again, don't let people fool you with this $85,000 salary, and it went up. It ended up being 99,000. Her last W-2 was 115,000. Again, black and white, I have it at my house. This was for thousands of dollars in comp time, thousands of dollars in cash allowance or car allowances. And this was also, I pay 10% of my PERS, and the village is supposed to contribute, say 14%, well, the village was paying the 24%. So Mr. Sexton will not be receiving that. That was very important to me. I actually came in and stopped by and talked to Mr. Anderson. It was extremely important regardless of who got this position. I did not feel a car allowance was acceptable, and also that somebody should pay their own retirement portion, in my opinion. Let me see what else. Mrs. Joy, I agree with you, actually. The public is entitled to answers from our council members. I do believe that you should not be restricted from speaking. I just wish that same courtesy was extended to me when I ask questions, and not just your followers on Facebook. Community center, again, in 2019, we were told that the courts would be moving out of the court building. We have set aside money for this community center, this talk of a community center. I went back, and it wasn't until January of this year, after we pressed for years on what the plans were for the community center. It wasn't until January that Glenna had put out there to get a cost analysis to see what we can bring in, what we can do. She never called the DMV, Mr. Perkins. She never called Sinclair. All these ideas that you had that I think are great ideas, putting a satellite campus in there. None of those places were contacted. There was nothing set up. The intention was to just bring the police department over there and maybe throw in some rooms and some equipment. Nothing was set in stone. So here we are still a year later, years later, and there was still never a plan for that place. As far as what Mr. McNamee was paid out of, we do have a fund that is for contracted legal fees. That's what he was paid out of. Numerous charter violations. Where have you guys been for 8 years? I didn't understand. When I had all these actual legitimate charter violations, nobody was up here, arguing anything. And the charter violations that have been alleged are not even charter violations. It's just that they're not being read properly. Back to the voice, you brought it up. I wasn't going to. My name again was in it a decent amount. I never filed a complaint against Mr. Joy and his daughter. My issue is more with Glenna and her cousin being on council. That complaint was not done by me. I had a couple questions for him, if I can just finish my thought. There were some things that were said about Mr. Sexton, and yes, I'm friends with him. It's a small town. I know a lot of people. We are mutual friends. It was said he has no experience running a village. Well, Annie Clark did it, George Marcus did it, Glenna Madden did it. Never held an elected seat on village council that have provided him knowledge of local government. There have been many of you that have sat there for decades that have held a seat and still don't know anything about local government. Let me see, with the salary, I already went over that. Let me see. And again, we learn in middle school, elementary school about credible and credible sources. And anytime something's anonymous, it's not a credible source. Something that's put out there like The Voice, which is completely biased interpretation, nothing's factual. A date was put on there about a council member being removed. But it didn't put the important part about it because they violated the charter. So yes, a council member was removed. Oh wow, shock effect. However, the reason this person was removed because of a charter violation. So again, it's picking and choosing what they want to say. It's skewed, it's opinion, it's not facts. They're intending it for a specific audience or the off factor, and not really for the merit or anything, any accuracy or reliability at all. And it does have negative impacts. I know Mr. Sands is coming back. Congratulations. I'm going into it with an open mind with Mr. Sands. He's coming back, a new council member in January. And I hope that everybody gives Mr. Sexton the same opportunity, give him a chance. You actually might like him. The one thing that I can promise you is that he's gonna bring honesty. And that's what we need. Everything can be learned, everything can be taught, but you can't teach honesty. You can't teach integrity. You can't teach passion. And, if I had more people that like me in this town, I would have put in for it myself. You probably would have said I'm not qualified for it, but I guarantee you I would have knocked it out. So, all I'm asking is for people to give him a chance. Not one person has even asked, Melissa Sexton what her intentions are, her thoughts on anything. Everybody wants to speculate. So, I look forward to this. I can guarantee that good things will be coming, and have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I respond to
Sure.
one thing real quick? So I just want to, because I think it was getting a little mischaracterized. Yes, a lot of places are having problems hiring. There's a big problem getting people into law enforcement. But as of January of this year, we were fully staffed with 10 full-time officers. We had 5 part-time officers, and we were holding an eligibility list of people waiting to apply. So all that has changed since February, when all the accusations started, all that. And the number one question that I get from people that we're trying to get to apply is what's going on with the allegations, the investigation, all that stuff. That's why we've asked for BCI to come in, and we continue to ask for them to come in, because the best way for us to get through this and get more people in and our staffing levels up is to get all that stuff sorted out. So yes, there are issues with hiring places. We traditionally have never had that problem. We've been almost full staff a lot. As of January, we had it in an eligibility list. And we generally turn over one full-timer every 1 to 2 years. So the amount of turnover that we have is unprecedented. I can't speak as to the specific reasons why people are leaving. I can only say what's in their resignation letters, which is that they're taking employment other places. It's the climate. There's just a lot going on. So that's why we keep asking for BCI to come in so we can solve this stuff. Because the faster we get the stuff solved and show that we're actually doing something with it, the easier it's going to be for us to bring people in and to get back up to staffing. Until that happens, we're going to continue to struggle to bring people in, and it's going to be hard for us to get back up to that staffing level without getting all the stuff looked into, sorted out. Because we have officers that are on calls. We had an officer, an older couple, had their car gone through. He was out talking with them, and people walked down the street and started cussing him out. And it was so bad that he had to apologize to the older couple for those people's conduct. We had a officer go into Dollar General, get cussed out with his kids there. And that kind of stuff is just continuing and going on because these allegations are out there and tensions are high, and that's causing strain. So the only thing I can ask is that we work on getting BCI in here as fast as we can, because the faster that we get the stuff sorted out and the truth out there, the easier it's going to be for us to bring more people in and get back up to full staff. We're going to struggle until that stuff happens.
Real quick, Shannon, real quick.
Can I go say on
Real
this?
quick.
Okay, 2 things on that. I mean, okay, well, first thing is I understand that that's unfortunate about these officers that are getting cussed out and this and that. It is part of the job. My husband's been there. But I also, on the same token, I have been witness to uniformed officers in public spaces with citizens that are speaking very ill of citizens. This is on duty, paid in uniform. Do you think that maybe with a change of council and the ability that they are more approachable, that more people are coming forward with complaints and not having fear of retaliation?
And that's fine if they're coming in and filing complaints. There's been multiple complaints that have come in, and I've let Rob know about it. I've let the prosecutor know. know about it, and they've looked into stuff, and that stuff keeps getting brought up over and over again, even though it's already been looked into. And if you have a complaint, that's fine. Come in, complain, talk to Rob's special counsel, that's why they're here.
So,
But-
so
but there's-
officers are leaving because there's complaints,
No,
not
no, no.
because council's done anything to them or Mr. Anderson has done anything to them.
No, there is. It's very hard to deal with when somebody files or when somebody makes allegations against you that you believe are false and then nothing's done with it. There's no, like, BCI is not brought in, it's just sitting there. And then people springboard off of that and make other accusations that we pass off to people and it gets looked into. And then nothing happens and those accusations keep going over and over and over again. And then when you're out dealing with citizens and you're getting cussed out, not about anything specific, just you're getting cuss words and insults thrown at you, which yes, that's part of the job. But when you're dealing with other people you're off duty and your kids are there, that brings a lot of stress when it feels like these people are free to say all that stuff. And we request BCI and other things and we're still waiting.
But that's BCI's fault then.
No.
So whose fault is it?
So I've contacted BCI. BCI will not take my request for an investigation because the investigation was done by special counsel. Special counsel has to call and request it through BCI. I talked with Rob and requested that. He's spoken with special counsel. That was back when I took over acting chief in June.
Yeah.
So it's been months.
Was that submitted, turned over to BCI?
I mean, I'm not Mike, I can't tell you.
Is there a way that we can find an answer out to that, like
I can find
tomorrow?
that out.
Okay,
Because we keep asking and
well, you
We're
met
not
with
sure what's
BCI
going on.
recently.
so we met with BCI for a separate case. We met with several people from that. During that discussion of that case, I actually spoke with the special agent who's in charge of Southwest Ohio. And I had spoken with him because he's the one that I requested them to come in before and investigate. So while talking, he brought that up and he looked and on his side of things, he didn't show anything in their system where there was a request in place. So I don't know what the status of it is. I've done everything I can. I've talked to people. I've asked the prosecutor, the sheriff's office. I've talked to everybody I can to try to get something going. And the answer that I always get is that since special counsel did it, special counsel has to request it. I made that request to Rob. Rob's talked to special counsel. I don't know what the status is.
Okay, if
But
you can
we're-
please let me know if and when that's been sent over, I would appreciate that. I don't think it's fair to really to point a finger at council though per se, or let them kind of take the heat for officers leaving because they chose to leave.
It's the climate of everything. There's allegations going on. It's tough to work in, and there's other agencies that are paying more money, where you're getting more money, less responsibility, you aren't getting yelled at and cussed out and accused of things. It makes it more attractive for people to leave, even though people don't want to leave. It's more attractive.
Has council made the job harder for you or your officers?
Yes. How so? Come on, for you from us.
You wanted to answer, she asked.
Yeah, answer.
What the?
You want me to answer?
Yes.
I want everybody driving by our houses at all times.
Who's driving by your house?
Would you?
Better. I'd like to understand.
I'm not disputing with this with you. This is not how this is supposed to be.
I don't think it's fair for council to take a hit on anything when, have you had any part in any type of discipline or, I mean, has council taken any part in discipline or reprimanding or anything with your officers?
I have not said it's any specific person's fault. I said it's the climate of what's going on and everything going on.
Because an organization or an entity has been called in to make sure that things are being done legally and properly, and people want to leave, if that came in, I'd say, hey, come on in, I got nothing to hide. If you choose to leave on your own free will, then you just don't want to deal with it. That's not the fault of anybody else. That's
No,
trying to have accountability.
The issue is that we want BCI to come in and look at all of the complaints. Now,
Let's
there's
go ahead and wrap it
been
up.
multiple complaints by people, some from council, some from audience members, everything else. So we want all of those complaints investigated by BCI.
Got it.
So I'm not gonna say, yes, it's this person's fault or that person or this group. It's the client, or it's the climate, everything going on. It's just at some point in time, we need to bring somebody in to look at it. Waiting and sitting is not helping anything.
I totally agree.
There's been accusations of felonies, of misconduct, all kinds of stuff. So there's no reason why we should sit here and wait and let people continue to make accusations over and over again on things that we've already sent to, that I've reported to Rob and Nate and stuff, and that they've looked at, and it keeps getting brought back up, and just stuff just sitting there. At some point in time, we have to do something,
I will say.
and it makes it harder.
I will say too, I have looked over many of the accusations. It's not my place to go out and publicly say that they're untrue. But if there were any merit to any of the ones that I reviewed, something would have been done about it. With regard to, I understand Chief Warden's position of getting BCI in because they are an unaffiliated organization that will look at it from a different lens. And we will do our best to make sure that they are the lens that is looking at it. Because I don't think even if I were to investigate them all and say that they're not true, that everyone would actually believe that they're not true. It needs to be an unaffiliated third party doing it.
And that's all that we want, is somebody unaffiliated to come in and we'll look at it. Because I don't think it's proper for the officers to get up and start arguing with people about the merits of things and everything else. That's not proper for us. So we just want somebody to come in and look at it so that we have an independent third party that can look at it and say yes or no and stuff. And if there's criminal charges, file charges. If there's not, then we know because we've had a state level independent agency look at it.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Thank you. Both you guys. Our next regular council meeting will be held on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024 at 7:30 PM. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson,
Yes.
Councilmember Sexton,
Yes.
Councilmember Matt,
Yes.
Councilmember Joy,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Atkins.
Yes.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. Be safe.
When you get back. I'll let you know. Then.
It's tough when people are making accusations that. A lot of stuff.
It's like you just said, you just said that there's things that don't have merit, and why can't you say?
I've asked for it in writing, I've asked things that have come here, they can give me the response.
This is why merit, however, they're still. So at least take.
Thank you.
And I've asked for stuff in writing, so I'm gonna get people here next to like, say, hey, because like stuff. I mean, it's been months old that he looked at it and said that. Brought it back up. It's not our thing.